We get reports from a neighbor who may see children outside unsupervised for extended periods of time, or children who may be knocking on the door asking for food, to a school calling because the children come to school in dirty clothes. It's any variety. We do get many calls from hospitals regarding children who've been injured, injuries that may not have been consistent with the explanation, or injuries that may appear to be inflicted on that child. Calls from police departments asking for assistance regarding crimes that have been committed by parents. Children may be present or involved. So any concern that anyone has a suspicion of abuse or neglect, we could take a report on.
As Sue was saying, we have 42 intake specialists. We have 62 altogether, but we man based on a schedule that as we see call volume coming in. We get calls beyond that, just wanting to know basic information. We do some prevention work to try to ensure that if someone's out there that needs a resource and they have children, that we know how to link them with the right folks.
So, I mean, that's the other option that we have, is I can do the report on that, but I want you to understand that that's what it could look like.
We receive that information based on what the caller tells us. We gather that and then make determinations on whether or not it will be assessed or whether or not it'll be screened out.
Okay. And so, so did he then come to your house in order to make sure that the safety of the child was secure? Okay.
Do we have any information as to where the perpetrator lives? Okay. Yeah. What I'll do is I'll just get their names and the allegations one at a time. So we'll just.
Oh, it's good. You definitely get an interaction with all kinds of different scenarios, situations. I did come from the field, so that it's a little bit of a change in that I'm not actually going to the homes anymore and seeing it up close. But you definitely still get to interact with a broad range of people.
Basically, what I do is I investigate reports of abuse and neglect. So when we receive a report from the call center, it becomes assigned to our department, to whichever worker is up for the assignment, and then we go out and we look at the allegations and figure out if they're true or not, and if we need to respond to those in whatever way would be appropriate.
I've got a problem here with your other two kids too, because of the marks on her. I don't see how she could have done that herself. She's got a handprint across her eye here. She's got finger marks. She's got bruising across the nose and bruising on her head. So I'm going to have to take them with me tonight, and then you have to go to court on Monday.
Oh, wait a minute.
And I know you don't want to hear that as a parent.
Oh,
but
wait a minute.
That's what we're going to
Wait a minute. My daughter's causing problems, and you're taking the rest of my kids away from me?
Well, because of the marks on her,
Man.
I can't leave two other kids with the risk of them being injured.
Well, wait a minute,
as well.
wait a minute, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Why don't you check my other kids and talk to my other kids and give us the benefit of the doubt before you take my kids out of my
Well,
house?
I've already talked to the supervisor about it, and she looked at your daughter and talked to your daughter as well, and she told me to come and get the other kids too.
Oh, now see, this is where...
Removal is one of the most challenging things that we do, and overwhelming, absolutely. I will say it's not as bad as you think it's going to be. The first time going into it, you are definitely going to have a lot of anxiety and nerves and feel pretty overwhelmed emotionally also. But afterwards, I think you realize that you're capable and competent to do what this job requires of you. There's a lot of doubt because what we do is very challenging. I have done several removals. It's very emotional, it's very difficult. You know that you're doing what's right, and it also can rock the rapport that you have with the family, because no matter what relationship you have with them, taking someone's children out of their care is a pretty upsetting thing to have to do.
This lady's taking you away from your parents. You can't live with me no more, and you ask her why.
We're going to go spend the night someplace else tonight.
She's taking you. I got to fight to keep you. You may not be allowed to come back home.
No sense, Daddy.
No, I'm going to tell you exactly what it's like. I ain't pulling no punches with my kids.
Okay.
Never have.
You don't have to. Hey, baby, get your shoes on, babe. We're
They're
going to go for a ride. We're going to go
they're
over
taking
someplace
you
else
away,
to spend
Carl.
the night. And your mom and dad are going to come to court on Monday.
Because Sissy said Daddy abused her. So now this lady is taking all you kids away from me.
The entry parts of a working on an assessment is looking at the family. Do we know the family? Is there a background? Is there reason to believe that the allegations are true based upon past history? So that's one of the first pieces that we're going to take a look at is our database. Is there any history there? We also want to look at the allegations. How serious are they? We have a certain response time. If it's a 1 hour response, we need to be, there isn't a whole lot we can do before we can just go out and go. So sometimes you don't get that chance to think, you just go. But sometimes we do have a 24-hour or a 5-day report where we can kind of maybe make some background calls, or we're contacting the report source or other professionals who may be involved to gather some basic information before we go out and talk to the family to try to piece together some of the information before we're actually there in the home, trying to figure out, what's going on. So a lot of it is just trying to get the background stuff before you get there and get with the family and become consumed with the investigation.
We go in and we do what's probably one of the very most difficult things to do. And then immediately the process begins to go from, this is an unsafe situation, how do we begin to make it more safe for our families, for our children? So what are the things that we can do? What services can we provide to you? How quickly can we provide them to you so that we can return your children safely to your care? Then it's time for us to get together to plan for, okay, here's the past. Here's what led to our involvement. How do we plan and get these children back into the home?
Now we're at the step we go from here. I guess have the appointment with her, have her come out and assess the house and everything like that, right?
You mean to your aunt's house or your house?
Well, both houses, right?
Right.
Because they got to come out.
Today I'm going to work on your aunt.
Right, but then
and
you gotta,
I'm also going to make referrals, or actually Emily's making referrals for you, so that somebody can get out to, the home-based worker can get out to your house right away and get that stuff going. And hopefully by the time we go back to court, by the next hearing, we will be able to report to the judge that we've already placed the kids in your care because we have positive recommendations from.
That was my question. Now that, okay, now.
After the first appointment, I'll have them give Jackie a call and say, how did things go?
What kind of time frame are we looking at here, just roughly?
I think by its very nature, the families that we deal with are families in crisis, by and large. And so when you have a family in crisis, you can expect to see things like drug use, whether it's illegal drugs or prescribed drugs. You can see things that have to do with domestic violence, situations that will make the hair on your neck stand on end. You'll run into situations that are very concerning, that they are very dangerous. It's not someplace that you would want to find yourself in, let alone someone who's 2 months old or 12 years old. And so you're going to see a lot of that in this field.
And everyone has their own opinion on what dirty is. And that's the difficult thing about getting reports on dirty homes is, okay, well, what does the person who called the report in think to be dirty?
What you're going to see is something along the lines of cockroaches, and not 1 or 2, but sometimes by the hundreds. 3 or 4 fans or 5 or 6 televisions, and none of them work, and they're all piled up. You're going to see animal feces, things all over the floor such that you can't get from one room to another without stepping on belongings. There will be things on the porch, there'll be things surrounding the house, windows that don't shut, a roof collapse, holes in the ceilings, exposed electrical wires. I mean, those are the things that we think of when we think of dirty homes. So it's very different from what you and I would, kind of joke about in our daily lives versus the very real situations that you're going to find with our children and families.
The standard that we look at for is that home is endangering, and that is really difficult sometimes to walk away from a home where you're like, that's probably not a good place for kids to live, but is it endangering to them? Probably not.
The level of expertise of our child welfare workers and what we expect is so much greater than back 20 years ago. We have the technology now to be able to really be thorough about things, and the expectation is there that we do that.
And I think the thing that's important to remember is you are the one giving these children voices. You're the ones that are helping the family ultimately through the crisis that they're experiencing and learning how to be better parents for their children.
A lot of times especially when you're dealing with older kids. For whatever reason, they want to protect mom and dad or whoever the perpetrator is. And that becomes really difficult when you know that something is just not right. Something's going on, this kid is in danger, but you just don't have the pieces to make a finding or to get them out of that situation because your hands are tied by policy or by the law or whatever's happening. So I think the biggest frustration for everyone that I know here is when you run into those cases where it's just not enough to do something. We have to watch it and hope that another report comes in. So being able to walk away from that and hoping and praying that that child doesn't get further injured or doesn't end up on the front page one day is probably the hardest part about this job.